tonight we have our retired Professor Terry Benjamin. So tonight I am Shareen Clark.
And I am BC, Brian Cox.
And we're coming at you tonight. We're going to talk about some good stuff on tonight. Of course, we're still doing education and talk a little about business. This is so awesome. So, Brian, what you got for us?
I'm just glad to be here, and I'm glad to be in the presence of retired professor.
And he's awesome, guys. He was my professor as well at Union County. I don't remember the year.
A little way ago, back in the day.
It wasn't too far back in the day. I think it was either 2011 or 2012, because that's when I started Union County, and I had to do, what was it? Remedial?
You're the English, yes.
Yeah, because I've been out of school for so long.
Wow.
I had to get up to speed, man.
I had to do remedial English and math, y'all. I was so mad because that's time and money, So, yeah, I had him, and he's awesome. He taught me some great stuff.
Well, one of the things that I found out when I went to Rutgers is that when you take some of those remedial courses, they don't actually go towards graduation credits. Those are called non-credit courses because they look at those as being refreshers. So why should they not let you generate money that is not going to go towards your degree? So
this is so true. And it is just, oh my God, it's so annoying, especially when you know that. And after you find that out, it's like, man,
what am I
doing?
doing?
I'm doing all this and it doesn't count. So yeah, it's crazy, guys. It's crazy. It's crazy. But tonight, again, like I said, we have retired Terry Benjamin here on tonight, and he's going to give us some good stuff. We're going to just chat it up with him on tonight. What you think about that, Brian?
Well, I'm glad to be in the house, and I'm glad that retired Professor Terry Benjamin is with us. I want to take you back a little bit, back in time, back deep in time, a long time ago.
I'm getting nervous.
Yeah. So I don't remember the year, but I don't want to date myself. So let's just say over 15 years ago. I think it was probably more like 20.
Well, I'm going to give you it was
What's the
1988.
Okay, 1988.
1988. That's when we started. Yes.
Cameraman, we're going to go to a 3-shot on this. Come on.
Girl.
Yeah. All right, so in that year, actually, what was happening is I actually went to Union County College in Plainfield, not to do anything. I was doing something for a Black History Month program.
Oh, okay.
And Terry actually was in the audience, and I think this is how we met. And he saw what I was doing, and he came up to me and said, "Hey, what are you doing? I got a little program that I'm doing. I'm putting together, and I'm touring throughout some of the schools. And I was wondering if you can help me out." I said, "Man, I'm a DJ." He says, "No, what you're doing is pretty good." You remember that?
That's right, because you were not just doing the DJ, but you also were doing the sound. And I wanted someone who could not just do DJ, but doing the sound. Because I really want you to be a part of my program, because at that time it was me, you, and a gentleman named Tony Hopkins.
Yeah, Tony Hopkins, man.
Yeah. And I was just recently brought on the college as the assistant director of the Plainfield campus.
Wow.
And that's why to this day a lot of people think I live in Plainfield, because I was there, but I was at Union County College, and the director of the UF program, Mr. Henry Pryor, who's now deceased, he said that they wanted me to go to the Plainfield campus to do some recruiting. And then I would be the assistant director under the director, Dr. Shirley Cathy. And so we came together, and I was doing programs at the college for Black History Month. And you were there, and you were doing your program. I said, yeah, that's what I need. I need somebody to do the sound when I do my particular program. And that was the Come to Correct Rap Music as Literature program that I started in 1988. That's when, as a matter of fact, I can't believe I was 38 years old at that particular time. 38 years old.
Well, we're going to move later on in the program and talk about what you have done since then.
Yes.
But before we do that, we talked about it amongst ourselves, Lady Shareen and ourselves, myself and you, that at the beginning of every one of our programs, our episodes, we're going to give a little moment of silence. So because you started with rap music as literature, there was an artist that recently died. Who was that?
That was well, they know him as Earl Simmons, but most people know him as DMX.
Yeah.
And he died at 50, which is tragic.
Right. And
So much more to offer. Yeah.
so we're not going to, because our time is very short with Professor Benjamin, we're just going to take like a 2-second pause for the calls and just everybody just reminisce over what you remember of DMX. So we'll take like a 10-second moment of silence. All right. So since you did that, we actually had a chance, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because there's a lot of things that you're doing current that are more. We're going to go a little bit about how you and Shareen, Lady Shareen, came about, and how I came about, and how we just continue to go. But we're going to really bring it current because you are doing some phenomenal things. But before we let that cat out the bag, we're going to just go back a little bit in time. So one of the things that we did is that I had an opportunity as a DJ and as an individual and as a friend, I think, that we actually got to tour all of the many of the North school system.
No, all of them, because what had happened was that we were signed. Really, it came through the mayor's office, and there was a woman who helped us put it together.
Yeah.
And they had announced that they would do all the high schools, well, many of the high schools in Newark. But what happened, they got calls from other high schools, said, why can't we have the program?
Right.
And so it was expanded to all the high schools in Newark. And then we culminated the whole program with a performance at the Newark Public Library.
Right.
We brought everybody together, people we had met who were dancers, who were rappers, and so we ended at the Newark Public Library. But it was really a groundbreaking program. No one has ever done it before. When I started talking about rap music literature, my colleagues at the college thought I was crazy.
You want to show a little bit of that article to the camera? Just put that up to the camera, because that has some historical value. We might be able to sell that. Put that in some kind of a black museum or rap museum.
But it's so funny because I have the actual newspaper. Because what happened, the Plainfield Challenge, they have a New York Challenge, and the Plainfield Challenge came to Plainfield to do an edition of the paper called
Cameraman, why don't you zoom in a little bit on that? Zoom in a little bit on that.
And this is the actual
zoom in on that.
newspaper.
Wow.
And what happened, I did the first article about rap music literature in the July 24th issue, and this is from 1988.
Get out of here.
And I it's falling apart, but so I got to laminate this thing.
But you know what was the funny part out of all of this? Because he was only 38. But when he got into his thing, because he would come out and he would talk about how the African drum and how in the Caribbean. Okay, why don't you give a little historical?
Yeah, it's so funny because what I would do is I would come out dressed in a suit and tie, and I would lecture, and I would trace rap music from Africa all the way through slavery and the blues and the poetry of Gil Scott-Heron and the a cappella singing, and bring it up to the present, which was at that point it was around the early 90s, and what had happened was then I would do the lecture, and then I would show a series of music videos. And Brian helped me edit the videos, and it talked about the 5 styles of rap: the dissing style, the boasting style, the rap party style, the ballad style, and the social commentary style. And we would show about 5 minutes, like little edited parts of these videos, and then I would come back on stage, but this time
this is the funny part.
No glasses, hat on backwards, t-shirt, jeans, and I'm doing the Running Man.
Oh, wow.
And I danced in the program. And I remember one time we were in Newark, and this one guy, he was looking at me, and he looked back, looking at me, and looking back. I said, "What were you going through?" He said, "I can't believe I'm in college. I'm in high school, and you're talking about the things that I like to talk about." Then what I would do is that after the program is over, I would dance again. But then I realized that at age 38, I can't dance like I used to. So I came with the brilliant idea that I would dance for about 5 minutes. Then I would invite the kids to come on stage and dance with me. So they came up and they got in front of me. And so they would dance for the next 5 or 10 minutes of the song. And then I would come back, and I was in the program. And we were on a program on TV called Another View. It was a PBS particular program, and they came on, and at that time I discovered a rapper named Romeo. And Romeo was part of our program.
Yeah.
But to make a long story short, then also WBGO did a documentary on me, and then we were asked to do a program for a cable. At that time it was cable TV, but it's a cable radio show behind the scenes, and we did a program called Come and Correct Rap Music and Literature. It was a Friday night program. I think it was from about 9 to about 12. I would play the latest rap music, and also I would have call-ins. And so that whole thing really took off to the point where I really had another career, although I was, at that time I had started teaching as a college professor, and also was the assistant director of the Plainfield campus. I was kind of busy, and also I was married, and I had 3 children, and I was take care of my son and 2 daughters.
Wow, okay. Now, was Brian one of your dancing students?
Well, no, he wasn't. he was like, he would do the music, and the thing which I really appreciate with Brian is the fact that he would hook up his DJ position to the sound system. So the sound was just, it was amazing. I mean, it was booming. Because, you know, we were doing high schools, but these were big high schools and whatnot. It was very theatrical, and people really committed us for this whole program.
And at that time, we used projectors.
Yes.
Not big screen TVs. We had projectors, two monitors on the side of the stage.
Yes.
So the student, it was almost like a 3-ring circus.
Exactly.
Because they had to pay attention to the professor when he was dancing or lecturing. They had to pay attention to the music videos as he resorted and said, go to the music video. So it was probably the start of, it was our form of the podcast in the early 80s.
It was, because what had happened is that people, it was educational, because I would not just talk about the music, but the artists and that type of thing. And also during that time, I was writing a weekly column for the Plainfield Challenge.
Wow.
So every week I was writing an article, and at that time I was getting music from the record companies and that kind of thing. So it was very contemporary, and the kids loved that. You know?
And to have a professor that actually, I think you taught English.
Yeah, I taught English, reading, writing, public speaking, and also African American literature.
African American literature. Yeah.
And the thing is, and that's what it gave us such authenticity, because here, here was a bona fide professor, but talking about, and a lot of times people couldn't understand what we were doing. They had to sort of catch up with what I was doing, because at that time, 1988. People weren't talking about rap music, not the way we were talking about it. And so again, with a lot of articles written about the music. As a matter of fact, I'm writing a book right now, and it's really a book that has a collection of all the articles that I wrote for the Plainfield Challenge. And even now, you look at it as a historical document.
It sure is. 88.
Yes. I didn't realize it was that far back, but 1988.
Well, the reality is that with all of those things that you have done and that you did, is that we didn't stop in North. We actually started getting recruited, and I think we went as far as Camden.
Yes.
We went as far as Trenton,
Philadelphia.
So it was something that was definitely needed at that time, because at that time people perceived that rap music, as far as I can remember. I know that you're going to educate me, Professor, but the most famous group that I remember back in '81 was the Rapper's Delight. But there were rappers before the Rapper's Delight.
Well, see, with the Rapper's Delight and the Sugar Hill Gang, really, a lot of people don't understand that was just a group of guys who just got together, and they were rapping, but they weren't considered like quote real rappers. Real rappers are ones who actually do their own raps, but they did sort of borrow different raps from different people before them, and they put it together, and they just started. And then what happened? They were rapping over Sheik's Good Times, and they got in trouble because they didn't really have. They weren't really supposed to do that, and so they had to go to court behind that. And
you talk about copyright infringements.
It was copyright infringements because they were just rapping over this particular beat. But the thing is that it really opened the door for a lot of things. Because rap didn't really go mainstream until around 1999.
Yeah, when I used to go to the roller skating ring back in the day, USA, it's not around anymore, so they're not getting any plug on this. But I used to go to the roller skating ring, and on rap nights, it would be 4 rock records to 1 rap record. And we'd be like, how on rap night are you playing 4 rock records? And it was a big thing between rock music versus rap music, and the owners wanted that money coming from the African American youth, but they didn't want to play the music. So we had to tolerate it, but unfortunately, that was the day that basically rap music was probably getting a bad rap.
It was because people didn't understand it. That's why I focused on the lyrics. What are they saying in these records? And that's why I was really about seeing rap music as literature, meaning that it's music that is like poetry, but it really endures. Because even if you look at DMX, I mean, you look at the themes that he even talked about in his music. He talks about survival, to the wisdom, strength, respect, and faith. And these are universal themes.
Wow.
And that's what people were doing. And that's why people made me laugh, because when we were doing a program, they were saying, well, I mean, just for the black kids. No, I said it's all kids. And I was saying that rap music, literature, I said that rap music is folk poetry. And folk poetry is the poetry of the people. And the people, not just the black kids, the white kids, Hispanic kids. It was part of youth culture.
And even today,
understand that.
And even today, Lady Shareen, you can chime in on this. Rap music has crossed so many populations. You now have individuals from the Hispanic background that are singing on top of rap beats, but they're singing it in Spanish language.
That's right.
You know, and I understand that the old school rappers that go overseas now make a ton of money because those people still love that music. And I love DMX, I love Run DMC, I love Funk Master Flex. I love all of those old school rappers and DJs that actually brought rap music to the point. I mean, at one point, they wasn't even going to play rap music on VHS1.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, listen, at one time, they, you talk about MTV. They wouldn't play Michael Jackson, but they told them, if you don't play Michael, then you're not going to get these other artists.
Right.
And so they were pressured to do that. Then they had the music videos, but again with the rap, I mean, I think what rap was a video music box with Ralph McDaniels. He's the one who really pushed this, and that's why when we are doing our program, we got a chance to get a lot of the music videos from the actual record companies. Wow. They were giving us videos by Big Daddy Kane and all these people and that kind of thing. And what happened, one of the rap videos was actually filmed in Elizabeth, New Jersey, at Vogel's Record Shop, because Biz Markie. When he did the
Biz Markie.
It was
and
there,
DJ.
That's right.
And DJ.
Yes.
And DJ.
Yes, DJ Brian Cox.
No, I wasn't DJ Brian Cox. No, DJ Cool V. DJ Cool V, and DJ Cool V. Hopefully, he's going to come on our podcast and share some of those stories that he can enlighten you about what that was all about. But I'm telling you that when BET came out and started playing rap music and love ballads and all the rest of that stuff, VH1 and all those other MTV started saying, "Oh man, we can't leave ourselves out of this," and that's when they gravitated, because BET with Ronald McDaniel,
Ralph
McDaniel, excuse me,
video music box.
But when BET came on and they were broadcasting nationally, and then they started doing stuff in, I think, the Caribbean, people started taking to it, and rap music, just look at rap music today. I mean, everything is...
It's survival, but don't forget to Yo MTV Raps with Fab Five Freddy.
You got it.
And he was really a person who pushed that. I mean, and I think, again, a lot of times people understand what we were doing, Brian and myself. Again, at that time, rap was almost considered underground, because it wasn't mainstream yet. Because you didn't have Third Base, you didn't have Eminem and all those other quote unquote white rappers to sort of expand the thing. But the thing is, we were looking at people who were really not really taking off. Like, really look at Run DMC at that particular point. They weren't as big as they became. Because
Adidas loves them, right? Adidas loves them because they rock Adidas. So every time they Adidas, hold on, Adidas with no shoelaces.
Right. The show. I remember the show.
That's right.
Get out of here, Lady Shareen. You had a pair?
I did.
And And that's what happened. Then corporate America got involved in it because so they could actually make some money.
Mm-hmm.
And remember MC Hammer, and they were doing the different clothing and that kind of stuff. And I think that what happens is that a lot of times they co-opt what we do and they sell it back to us, because before, when it first started, rap is terrible. But then they started, the corporate America discovered rap, and they were doing all the rap music commercials with prominent rap stars like
I can't even
Cool J,
believe
that kind of thing. Yeah.
that was 1988.
Yeah,
Where did the time go?
Yeah, I was little, so some of that stuff I didn't even know.
I mean,
So-
I was 38 and now I'm 70.
Oh,
So where did the time go?
Yeah. So how long did you have your program with the kids?
Oh, we did it up to I have here. We did to about 1991,
Okay.
and then after that, I actually founded a publication called the Hip Hop Review
Yep.
in 1992,
Okay.
and I did that, and then I went on to publish fiction, my fiction, other people's fiction, under the in-house publishing. You know,
Wow.
in 2000.
Yeah, that's right. He writes.
That's right, Tobias.
And he does. He published. So he was the one who helped me write my book. So
Yeah.
So let's fast forward it then. Let's leave this chapter of your life, because I know it's going to be in the book.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be in the book. It's going to be in the book.
I'm
So
sure.
all you out there in podcast land, listening to the 4E podcast, which is about what, Lady Shareen?
Education,
Entertainment
empowerment.
and enlightenment. There you go. That's what we do here. And we have our guest,
Yes, we have
Professor.
our Professor Terry
Retired
Benjamin.
Professor.
Retired Terry Benjamin here with us tonight.
And so now, as you close that chapter and you started doing more writing, and you got into teaching, not that you weren't teaching before, but you really got into teaching, because I think at one time you were working at 2 or 3
No,
universities.
what it is, I was I started my career in 1973 at Union County College as a college administrator.
Wasn't born yet.
And then from there I was the EOF counselor there, and then I was the assistant director of the Plainfield campus. But what had happened was that I did 30 years as a college administrator and part-time professor. Then after a while I retired as administrator. I went into teaching
Wow.
full-time. I taught at Union County College, Essex County College, Kane University, Jersey City State University,
Oh, awesome.
all at the same time.
So teach the listening public out there that are watching the podcast what it means to be an educator and what it means for people of color, whether it's Black, Hispanic, or whatever. Teach them the importance of what it means to further your education, because you taught you taught on a community college level, and then you also taught on a state university, King College.
Yeah.
And then I want you to segue into how you met Lady Shareen, because we got to get her, and she got some interviewing questions for
We
you.
got to. But the funny thing about it, and this is, I can make a confession right here. Now, I couldn't talk about this before, but I can talk about it now only because the statute of limitations has
Expired.
yeah. But people don't understand that I got into teaching because a white professor who was a friend of mine asked me to teach one course.
Oh wow.
Okay, and at that point, I didn't have any kind of credentials. All I had was a BA in journalism from Rider College. Make a long story short, he asked me to teach one course. I'll never forget. It was
Get
English
outta
101. It was English 101 course. And I walked into the classroom because he told me that Friday, he said, I have too many classes. Could you teach one class? I said, no problem. He said, yeah, well, you got to come in on Monday with your syllabus and your lesson plan. Now, I've never done this before. Okay?
Get outta here.
I never did it before. But I said, okay. I went home to my wife. I said, I'll be teaching at Union County College on Monday. He said, how can you teach at Union County College? You don't have a master's degree.
Oh, wow.
You have no background in teaching. I said, I know, but I got the gift of gab.
You got to give it that.
So-
You got to give the gift.
So I come to class on a Monday morning, and I'm in class. It's me and it's 30 white kids.
How many?
30.
30.
Yeah, my first class, 30. And I said, well, look, I'm new at this. You're new at this. I said, well, help me with this. And this is where I got the idea for a rap music literature. I said, look, why don't you bring in your favorite record, but don't bring the record, bring the lyrics. And so they brought the lyrics to all their favorite artists and whatnot, and so we did the lyrics as music, and so that's what bound us together. Make a long story short, I was evaluated in the middle of the semester, and at that time we had we bonded so well that I forgot there was somebody in the back of the room who was evaluating me. I forgot about that. So I was just enjoying my students, and we're just having a good time. And then after the class was over, they said, "Hey, Professor been take care and whatnot." They left, and the evaluator came up to me. He said, "Man," he said, "Wow," he said, "You're a natural. You should do more of this." I said, I would love to. And then what happened? Then they gave me more courses. To understand this. I didn't have a master's, and then when I retired as an administrator, I went over to Essex County College, and just to see if I could get some work there. And I went in on a Friday afternoon, and they said, "Well, we'll have to look at your credentials and whatnot." And then I came back Monday, and they said, "Could you do us a favor?" I said, "What? Could you teach at Essex County College?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" And so I started teaching at Essex County College, and then what happened was that I got a fellowship to study at Jersey State University.
Wow.
And then I got a call from Kane University because they wanted teachers who were not traditional to teach without a book, and I taught at Kane University. But then what happened was that people started calling me Dr. Benjamin.
No way.
And then this is the confession, okay?
A confession.
I never.
Only on this podcast will you hear this
no one else knows this. I never finished my master's, but I taught at different universities and whatnot. And when I actually retired, my thought was just to retire from Essex County College. But they said, "Look, if you retire, you have to retire from all the colleges that you taught at." So my pension is all those colleges that I taught at, and they said, "Well, if you want to, you have to actually leave the system." So I left the system, but I was able to get the money from all those colleges and whatnot. So my retirement is nice.
So in that process, when you were teaching, Lady Shareen take over. You met Lady Shareen. How did that happen?
I met her.
So, like I said, I had him as a professor, and it was English.
Yes.
And that wasn't even the time that started our journey.
Yeah.
It was actually, I believe it was 2013. Actually, it was 2013.
Yes.
He was with an organization called Churches Making Movies.
Yes.
And I had just changed my major from business to filmmaking.
Yes.
And I don't even know how. I believe we were, friends on Facebook.
Well, I remember, but I have remembered you.
Right.
From when we were in class, and you told you wanted to get into filmmaking.
Yes.
And when I got together with the president of the Churches Making Movies,
right.
LaVaughn McIver, and she came to me at Essex County College.
Right.
And we was in the cafeteria. She said, "Professor Benjamin, I have this idea."
Yes.
And I said, what's the idea? She said, "This idea called Churches Making Movies."
Yes.
I said, "You should go with it. As a matter of fact, you could do it in Broadway." We started to do it in Broadway, but what happened, the hotel that we had went out of business.
Right, and I remember
Yeah,
that
so we had
because
to
I
take
was
over
on the so let's back it up a little bit.
Yeah,
so what
yeah.
happened was, like I said, I had changed my major
Yes.
to film, and I don't know, like I said, I guess we were just friends on Facebook,
Yeah,
and I
it's
seen
a lot,
something
yeah.
you posted.
Yes.
And you had posted Churches Making Movies or something like that.
Mhm.
And so I just thought it was a great opportunity. So I'm like, okay, I just changed my major to film, and I need to, get in somewhere, some kind of way. And so I reached out to you, and I said, how can I, get to know the person who's in charge?
Yeah.
And it was so funny because you said to me, you was like, "You're talking to me." I was like, "No
Yeah, because
way."
that time was just me and LaVaughn.
Right.
We were the two. And it's so
Yes.
funny because we did it at Clark, and it was a big success. And
Mhm.
really, that was like 7 years ago.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so
It was 7 years ago,
yeah.
yes.
And the thing is, and every year it would expand.
Yes.
We have to go to bigger venues and bigger venues.
Yes, I remember.
And the last time we did it was at a retreat center, and we did good. But the funny thing about that, is that in your case, I was teaching remedial English because they had caught up with me. Because what happened, one of the new professors,
No way.
yeah, she gave me about like 6 different courses,
Oh, wow.
like college level courses, the 101 and 102.
Right.
And then she said, but she said, but I can't give these courses because you don't have a master's.
Wow.
I said, I told her, you know that I don't.
Right.
She said, well, look, what you have to do, you can't teach these courses, but I can get you remedial.
Okay.
But what happened, people understand that I made more money teaching remedial than the regular because the regular is like 3 credits. The remedial could be like from 4 to 10 credits.
Right, and which you don't even get credit for. That's
Right.
so messed
But I was
up.
making more money teaching the remedial,
Wow.
you know. But then the thing is, I realized that people needed a good professor in a remedial.
Yes.
Because a lot of students would fall through the cracks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you had a really seasoned professor teaching remedial, which I enjoy. I had no problem with it because my whole thing, I was there for the students.
Yes.
I wasn't there, to make a career for myself because my thing was that, going back to Brian, when I met Brian, I was doing these administrative things to support my family, but my love was always writing. I wanted to be, I told my mother at 9 years old, I wanted to be a writer.
Yes,
Well,
and you wrote,
yeah.
how many books have you written? Because I know that you have written books.
Yes.
And you helped me write mine.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you have to understand, in terms of like book writing and publishing, I mean, I've written like over 20 books.
Right.
I've only published about 5 of the books that I've written.
Okay.
Wow.
But then, as a ghostwriter, I've done another 20 books, and when I see me ghostwriting, I might sit down with somebody and actually write the book for them, and then they get the credit for that. But the point that I'm making, and the thing that I love about rap music and how it's all tied together, is that I always say for myself is that genius does not ask for permission.
Gotcha.
So I didn't wait for anybody to put me on.
Mm-hmm.
I put myself on.
Yes.
I developed my own publishing company.
Right.
It was in-house published with Tobias Fox, who was a former student of mine.
Oh, wow.
And the thing that endeared me to Tobias was that he read a book that I wrote called Dance Paradise, and he actually wrote a screenplay for that book.
Oh,
I said,
wow.
this brother is solid.
Yes.
And
Wow.
so we had a pretty good run with that. But my point is that with rap, see, we don't need people to give us permission. We don't need validation.
Right.
We don't need people to tell us that we're great because we know that we're great. And my whole thing is that we have to bring our talents to what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So in a roundabout way,
Yeah.
you have always been a starter.
Oh,
You haven't waited for somebody, and that's what I talk about on the podcast is that you got to be a creator. You have to be an author, and we're not talking about literally writing. We're talking about just being the captain of your ship. So that if you're waiting for something to happen and it never happens, you can't say that it never happened because you tried or you didn't try. If you didn't try, then you can say it never happened because you didn't try. But go ahead.
And that's why I have people now tell me, oh man, I wish I could write a book. Well, write it.
Write it. That's
Because
just right.
because people understand that writing and publishing is two different things.
That's right.
Because a lot of people are writing books and whatnot, but the publishing, when I decided to publish, I did research on, I knew for myself, the big thing was the cover of the book, and then the back of the book, and then the interior of the book. And so I taught myself how to do all these things. I didn't wait for anybody to discover me.
Right.
Because if I waited for that, I'd probably still be waiting.
Yeah. Now tell us a little more about your publishing company.
Before he does that, though,
Yeah.
that lady Shareen and I talk about that all the time.
That's right.
The things that you see are happening on this podcast didn't happen because somebody told us, "Oh, we have a dream. We're going to
you can
just
do this."
wait for you to." No, Lady
They don't
Shareen
work
took
that
the
way.
initiative. I took the initiative. And we're mentoring a young man, and we're having some technical difficulties, but he's working through it, and he's working in the background to make sure that our cameras are on, and that we have good mic contact, and we're making sure that the flow is going to continue to happen. But Lady Shareen definitely said, talking about your publishing company, and I'm going to chime out for a minute. And let you guys join in because I'm going to go and just help him off camera to make sure everything's all right. Is that all right with you, Lady Shareen? Can I do that? No.
Because with the publishing company, I realized that I had to not only write the books, but to produce the books. And production meant I had to get a cover artist.
Right.
I had to write the back copy for the book.
Okay.
I had to make sure the interior was good.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I had to get the ISBN numbers
Yes.
so to be registered in Washington. And then I had to get the books published. And what we did is we found a company in Canada.
Okay.
that publish our books, because when we publish each book we publish about 1,500 copies.
Wow, that's a lot.
And I'll never forget the first time the books came in from Canada. They had this big truck, and they put that. We had enough books to fill this room.
Wow.
Okay.
That's a lot of
It was the books, but at that time it was a little different in terms of publishing because you had distributors.
Okay.
And there were like about 5 distributors in New York City
Okay.
that would take your books. Then they would make sure they get to different bookstores, different airports, and that kind of stuff. And at that time, and we would take our books over to New York City to give to distributors.
Okay.
And they would take a percentage, and we would get a percentage at that time. It was a lot easier back then.
Okay.
Now I think it's a lot different because you don't have that type of situation.
Right.
But the point I'm making is that you do what you have to do to get it done.
Absolutely.
Like when you make a film, you got to write the script.
Yes.
You got to cast the script.
Yes.
You got to direct the script. You got to do the music.
Yes.
You got to do the editing. You got to do the pre-production, the post-production, that kind of thing. And what happens is that people don't understand. That's why it takes a lot of energy.
It does.
And that's why I was in my 30s and doing all this running around and understand I don't drive.
Right.
So I don't have a car. So I was getting on buses and trains and that kind of thing.
Wow,
And doing it. And I was talking to my son, I said, man, you're working 7 days a week, you're doing all the work with your training and whatnot, man. You go 7 days a week, and
Wow.
sometimes you're doing eight people a day.
Yeah,
And I
that's
said, man, that's too much. He said, Dad, when you were raising us, that's what you did.
Wow.
And I mean, there'll be times where I'm like at Union County College in the morning, Essex County College in the evening, and Kennedy University at night.
Right.
Okay?
Wow.
And so I'm teaching like 4 and 5 colleges in the same semester. So I think what it comes down to, it really comes down to your willpower.
Okay.
Because if anybody who's out there who wants to do something like this, I mean, really, you got to check your will.
Yes.
I mean, do you really want to do this? Because if you don't really want to do it, the first sign of trouble, I mean, the first book that we produced, when it happened, we had the interior design, but the print was too close to the binding of the book.
Wow.
So you had to almost tear the book open to actually to read the was. Oh, we made a big mistake. The second book we did, there was a big typo on the back of the back copy.
Okay.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any of these books where anybody can actually get them and check them out?
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, because what happens, in-house publishing website, well, Facebook is still
Okay.
until you go to Facebook and in-house publishing. Although we haven't published any new books through in-house publishing, but so if you can contact me, I'll give you some content information, and you can do that. But what had happened was that I have not published any new books under in-house publishing, but I've done other books for other authors, and what I try to do, especially in your case and whatnot, when you came in with the idea for your book, I said, well, look, you should be the publisher for your own book.
Right.
So that way, as the publisher, all the money that comes through the book would be you. Because what happened is that back in the day, it was the author, and then it was the publisher, and
Wow.
and then what happened, then you had the distributor.
Right.
And a lot of people distribute through Amazon.com, but Amazon.com, they want 60% and you
Yeah,
get
40.
40%.
Yes. It's not even just Amazon.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
that's
lot
what it
of-
is.
60-40?
Yeah,
That's
even
right,
like
that's right.
what is it, Barnes and Noble?
All
All those
of them.
outlets is 60-40.
Who
and
gets the 60%? Me?
No,
not at all.
The Amazon gets
Right.
it, Barnes and Noble
Yep,
gets it.
they
Because,
do.
but the thing is, they say they get it because one of the things I like about publishing is that you can make money while you're sleeping.
Yes.
Because people can always order your book.
That's
But
right.
I'm the type of person, I like to be to the point where I'm the author, you're the reader, boom, it's a deal.
Right, absolutely.
And there's nobody in between
In the
us.
middle, yeah. But
I
know
can't
that was
believe.
terrible.
Yeah.
I did all the work.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, you gotta, pay money out for this and that.
Yeah.
And I'm, you're my outlet and you want 60 and I only get 40. And I'm like, yeah, that's not right.
Well, I'm saying,
That's
but a lot of people have went with that. But
Yes,
the thing
they
is, it's a little different now because, at that point, self-publishing had a bad rap.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, because I would give them my book and they said, is this a real book? Yeah, it's a
Right.
real book, because they don't see it from a
That's
big
true,
publishing company.
yeah.
But again, my whole thing was about quality control. If I put one of my books next to a book that is from a mainstream company, it should be any difference.
Right.
That's why, when you do a film, you're not there to say, well, no, what I meant to say was this, or what I meant to do this, and I made a mistake there. No, people, right now, the name of the game is content.
Right. Absolutely.
People want content.
They want content.
But they want quality content.
Yes. And that's another thing too. So you're also an editor.
Yes.
So
yes,
let's talk a little bit about about being an editor. Because you actually edit people's books.
Yes, yes.
And we've done a couple of projects, not just books, but you touched a little bit about filmmaking, and film and the scripts. And we actually had started writing a script together.
Yes.
With a project that we were working on. But again, let's jump back to the editor. So how was your process? Because if people want someone to edit their book, that is something that you also do.
Yeah, and basically what they do, they can call me, they can come to me and then give me the manuscript, and I'll go through the manuscript, and I will actually make sure the spelling correct, grammar correct, that kind of thing. But what I did, I have another thing that I do, which is not even part of editing, but I also dabble in interior design.
Yes.
So, no way.
Because I want the...
Of the book.
I thought he was talking about the home.
No.
I'm like, wait.
I do that too. But it's so funny because people take that for granted because they figure they pick up a book and they don't understand that somebody had to edit it, somebody had to do the interior design for the book, the way the book looks, that kind of thing. And the funny thing about it is the fact that people just take all this for granted. Like sometimes when they say TV show, they just think that it just came on. No, because when I would go to the movies, bad habit of mine is that after the movie's over, I sit there for about 5-10 minutes because I want to see the credit. Who directed it? Who produced it?
Yeah.
Who's the executive producer?
Wow.
It's a lot of work.
Who did craft services? That's food.
So you mean to tell me when you used to play the vinyl back in the day, you would sit there and read who was actually on the cover of the because the record only had but so much space on that little disc. But you would read the cover. You would go to the insert.
But a lot of those, because I want to know who produced it, who wrote it,
who did the photography,
who did the background singing. Because my thing, Brian, I always was the type of person that I always knew, and I knew at an early age, that the real money was not in front of the camera, it was behind the camera. And a lot of the artists are now discovering that, that's why when you'll see these TV shows, and they'll have the star of the show, but he's also the executive producer, which means that he's getting money like that. You find out like for example, Law and Order. Now they have the organized crime, and the woman, one of the writers for that particular show is a woman who did the L Word. So she did a lesbian TV show, and now she's doing Law and Order. And again, it comes out like versatility, and that's why when I was doing my writing, most books I wrote in the first person, but sometimes the first person was a male, and sometimes it was a female. Sometimes it was a white person, sometimes it was a black person. So again, versatility, because I'm the type of person, if I'm a writer, I can write books, plays, screenplays, whatever it needs to be done. Because again, that's why it's so funny, because they call me a retired professor, but I still study, I still read, I still write.
All right, Professor, you pushing the gas pedal. we got a segment for that. Listen. We have you for 1 hour and 20 minutes. That's what we put you on for today. So we are not going to let you jump forward to your things that you do every day. So in the writing and in the rewriting and the ghostwriting, and what kind of joy do you get from that?
Well, see, the thing is, I think one of the things that I didn't realize that I was doing it, but when I told my mother, I said, Mom. At 9 years old, I said, Mom, I want to be a writer. But what I didn't realize was that I was becoming a self-actualized person. And what I mean by that is that I'm always writing, I'm always reading and that kind of stuff. But I do it because this makes me happy. I don't do it for the money. I made money, and I continue to make money. But the thing is, I have it within me a desire to be a lifelong learner.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, and that has helped my health. Because I'm 70, but I have the energy that I had when I was 30, 40, or 50. Because again, my thing is it's mind, body, and spirit. And so when I do what I do, it keeps me alive. So I can't help but love it, because if I don't do it, what else would I do? And the thing that makes me laugh, that when I got involved administrator. I didn't know what a college administrator was. I didn't know what a teacher was. I didn't go into that. I didn't go to any of that to be a career person. I went naively. I went to school to have access to books. Because at every library, every college that I taught at, I was always in the library.
Yeah, you know what, just to chime in, you know, we did we used his house as a set.
Yes.
Wow.
It wasn't my project, it was somebody else's project, but I came on, and I was actually training with someone else, and we were doing a camera, so I helped the cameraman, so, you know, because they told him that, you know, she's in school for film, you know, and I came on, and we were at Professor Benjamin's house, and, you know, doing a scene, and we were up in his library. So, I mean, nothing but books, nothing but DVDs, and, you know, he loves, you know,
DVDs.
But the whole thing.
A whole room.
But the funny thing about it is that even
what are DVDs for the listening audience out there that doesn't know what a DVD is?
They're filmed on tape.
On tape? No, they're actually filmed on a disc.
On a disc.
I mean, at one time, just to take you back up, there was a store out there that was called Blockbusters, and there was another store. I can't even remember what the competitor was. Palmer Video. No, Blockbuster was in Plainfield too. It was right next to Wendy's. Yeah, there was a Blockbuster.
Because there was one up the street too.
I got to digress a little bit on this story. I remember one time I went in there and I rented a video. And I forgot I had the video. Maybe I didn't forget I had the video. It just wasn't important to me. And I took it back like a week later, and it was like $21. I'm like, $21? When I rented it was only like $3. I'm like, how did they get the $21? They said, oh, late fees, restocking fees. We were going to charge you for the whole thing. I was like, what's the whole thing? It was like maybe $75.
Cheaper just buy the film. You know?
Right, absolutely.
But the funny thing is that there's still people playing DVDs because you now can go. They call them red boxes. And the red boxes, you know, I didn't even know that people had DVD players anymore.
I still do.
I have a portable DVD player, But also,
you don't have no DVD player.
Yes, I do.
A DVD player? You know they do have. Oh, you know they do have things called cable now, and Netflix.
We have that too.
You know, and not only do they have Netflix, like if you. Well, that's another story. But you can get cable and you can get all the late. Well, that's another story. But people don't use DVDs anymore. Y'all.
Well, listen. I even have people when I do funerals. When we do funerals, and some people want the DVD. So I edit it and give them produce a DVD.
I remember the VHS. Remember the VHS? The things you put in.
The ones that you would put in, and then if you hit the fast forward or rewind button too fast, the tape would get loose, and then it would wind up in there, and then you would have to take it back to the store, and they'd be like, "Yo, this is damaged. We got the film back. It was damaged." We're like, "What are you talking about? It's damaged."
Yeah, we had one of those too not too long ago. I think we recently got rid of it. No,
Lady Shareen, don't be telling.
That's not true.
Lady Shareen. All right. So now I gotta go back since y'all going down this road. Don't tell me, Professor. Did you still have cassette players in your house?
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
And you actually have a cassette player.
I have a box of cassettes. You know, I have a small cassette, hand cassette. I have another cassette because I used to actually, when I do ghostwriting, I would actually tape it, but now I use my phone. But I'm saying, but going back to,
I can't believe y'all still have it.
No, I still have it.
I can't believe that y'all still have it.
As a matter of fact, next time we are on next Monday, if I don't forget, I'm gonna bring one, a VHS tape. I'll bring it. So you can see it.
But I mean, how can you even watch VHS? I mean, the quality was like it was like 520p or something like that. We had 1080p. I mean, there was no color in those things.
Listen, when we were doing our rap music program, I still have some of those on VHS.
You sure the vinegar didn't start melting? You sure they didn't start stinking? You got to put them in like a cool place. You can't leave them in the sun.
To be quite honest, we were literally
durable.
A couple of months ago, we were looking at one because we wanted to look at some old footage, and it works. It still works. It still literally works.
And it's so
Don't tell tell me. Let me go back one more time. Don't tell me you have 8 tracks of Barry White.
No, I
You don't have no 8 tracks.
I have cassettes. I don't have
Okay, he might have some Barry White.
He might have them up in the attic. I'm
Wow.
not sure because he had a lot of them. I know he still have records.
Yeah, I have records. I don't think I'll ever play them again. But there are
No,
people that are now
vinyl's coming back.
Vinyl's coming back. People like the real deal. But I mean, if I could go to a DJ set and bring in my laptop, and I could bring in my controller, that's it. I'm set.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't got to bring in 20 crates of records, and then I got to have somebody help me haul them in and then haul them out at the end of the night. And I don't know about you guys, but realistically, young folks today don't know nothing about carrying no crates. I remember when we did parties and we had crates on crates.
They want everything at their fingertips,
digital stuff.
They want digital stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I don't knock progress because it's so funny because back in 1999, I would go to movies with my wife and I told her, I said, we enjoyed the film. We thought it was pretty good.
Okay.
Why can't we buy that movie now? You have to go there.
Right.
And then now they have what they call streaming.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you have some movies who have never been in the theater. They go right to the stream.
Yeah.
Like the movie what is Judas and the
Judas and the Messiah.
And the Messiah. That's in the movies now, but when it first came out, it went right to HBO Max.
Yes, it did.
And then if you had HBO, you had to subscribe to the HBO Max, and that's how they get you.
The reality is that almost everything is on stream now.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, it is.
very few
Yes, it
things. I mean, I don't even know how people. I don't even know how. I really don't understand this. Maybe somebody can educate me. Maybe you out there in the public. I don't know how movie theaters are going to rebound because everybody is now took all of that time and energy and they did their house up, or they put an entertainment system in their house, or they put a movie thing in their basement, a theater in their basement. So what's happening, and most of the movies don't even last in the movies that long.
That's right.
I go by the movie theaters now, and there might be 40 or 50 cars. I don't know how that segment's going to come back. But if that segment's going to come back, it's definitely going to take individuals like yourself, like me, that might just want to go out on a date and just go to a movie theater, because you can be at home and that's nice and stuff. But I think once the pandemic is beyond us, I think that those industries are going to have to find a way of recreating themselves.
Well, I think what you're going to find out is that, like Shareen was saying, like 7 years ago, me and a fellow professor, we created a platform called Churches Making Movies.
Wow.
And the whole idea was that we would go to different churches, and we found out that actually churches were making movies that they needed to distribute.
Yes.
So to make a long story short, we were actually inviting them in to screen these particular films.
Yes.
Wow.
And we've done that for seven years at this particular point.
Right. I just want to take a minute. I don't know if anyone's out there, anybody watching, but again, this is the 4E's podcast, and tonight our special guest is our retired professor, Terry Benjamin, and we're talking to him about different things that he's done. Brian and I both know him, and so we're just chatting it up with him, and I just want to say hello to anybody who's watching. If you have any questions,
out there.
Put it in the chat, share, like, give us some hearts, and let us know what you guys think.
And in addition to that, please tell all your friends and family that we invite you into our podcast, and that our podcast is about the 4 E's,
yes,
as Lady Shareen said. And we want you to be a part of this because we are going to continue to bring on individuals that are informed,
yes,
that are knowledgeable, and that can help you change some things in your life. And I think this might not be too premature, but there's 5 things that you tell me you do every single day. I do a whole lot of things, a whole lot of days, but I don't know if I even have them classified because I'm just doing so many things at so many times.
Yeah.
Lady Shareen calls me the person that does everything. I'm like, I don't do everything, but I do a lot. So can you talk a little bit about those things? And when you, a segue to that is you have something that you're doing, and it's called After Something. I'll let you introduce that concept and talk about how you are living. They made a record, living my best life.
Right.
Talk about that.
But I think what it was is I found out that there were certain things, and when I started teaching, understand I didn't have the traditional background or the traditional education, so I had to improvise and do a lot of things. And one of the things that I told all my students, something that I do every day, and I said, well, if you did this, if you will become educated. And I realized that, see, a lot of people think it's about the books or the degrees and that kind of thing. And I don't really care so much about that because my whole thing is lifelong learning. But to get back to your point, this is what I do every day. And if you want to become an educated person, I feel I'm an educated person beyond the administration and teaching and whatnot. So every day I do 5 things, okay? Every day I do some reading. Maybe a newspaper, maybe a magazine, or whatever, Every day I do some writing.
Wow.
Okay? I might just write a text. I might write an email. I might work on a book and that kind of stuff. But I think that reading and writing go hand in hand. Number 3, every day I do some listening. Because I read a lot of books, but I also have an audiobook library. And I listen to audiobooks, and also I listen to podcasts. Every day I listen to a different podcast,
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, and every day I do some talking. Even just talking to my son, because that's part of education, And the 5th thing, every day I do some viewing. I might watch a movie, I might watch a TV show and that kind of thing. And because as a writer, every time I watch a movie, a TV show, or whatever, I'm studying that show.
Okay.
And now I have the good fortune because we have the time where I can watch the same movie over again, stuff because I have Netflix and that kind of stuff. But the thing is that if you do this every day, it becomes, like an athlete. Like Michael Jordan, he's shooting all these baskets. Every day he's shooting baskets. Every day he's shooting baskets. So get the point where he doesn't have to think about it. So every day I have an agenda. I think what happens is that, especially as you get older, you need a routine. Because there's so many seniors, and when I say senior, I'm a senior. I laugh at that because I don't see myself as a senior.
Right.
I mean, I know that I'm 70. I know that I'm retired, but my goal, if I work 30 years, I want to be retired for 30 years and get those benefits. But the thing is that you have to keep yourself alive and you have to keep yourself relevant. And that's why I love being with you two.
We love having you.
You keep me young. Okay, because I know what you're doing, and I know what she's doing, and I try to, how can I help them do what they do? Because again, I'm constantly learning. And I know a lot of seniors are not doing well because again, I find for myself, I can add a 6th thing to the things I do every day is exercise.
Right.
Every day I exercise because again, I don't do just for my body, but for my mind. Because the mind and the body, they go together.
Yeah.
People don't see make that connection. And that's why a lot of times you got seniors who are all bent over and that kind of thing. And they're not living their best life because they're ill, because they haven't done anything. And one of the things, people, if you know me well, you know I don't drive a car, that I've never driven a car. I don't have a license.
He does a lot.
So I have to walk every single day. And people say, well, and I tell you, one time I did think about getting a license, Shareen. There's one of my partners, and he's in high school. He said, Terry, you got to learn to drive. He said, man, if you don't learn to drive, you won't be able to get any girls. I said, oh man, I want to get girls. I don't know what I'm going to do with them when I get them, but I do want to get girls. And he said, yeah, man. And I said, oh man, I guess I learned how to drive. But I never wanted to learn how to drive. But then again, I found the secret.
What's the secret?
Okay, this is the secret.
Find a girl.
Shareen, don't listen to this. Okay? Okay, fellas, come a little closer. Okay?
What's the secret?
The secret, okay?
Oh man.
Women, they're like a man who is intelligent, who can teach you something. They're like a man who dresses well. They're like a man who can dance. Okay? Forget about all this other stuff. That's what women want, okay? That's what they want. And if you have that, they will come and pick you up and drive you to where you want to go.
So you mean to tell me, now I got to ask this question because the public out there wants to know. Was there ever one incident where the girl found out that you didn't drive that she said, I didn't know that?
Well, but it's funny though.
Go ahead, talk to me.
Again, I love humor. Now, I want to
humor me, man.
I want to give a disclaimer to what I'm about to say. Okay. Disclaimer. The disclaimer is that I matured. Okay.
Okay.
But back in the day, I was at a Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve party, and this one young lady, she was talking about a real man and whatnot, and I wouldn't go with any man who wasn't a real man, and he had to have this and he had to that, he had to have his own place, and he had to drive and whatnot. And I tell you, Brian, I looked at that girl and I said, you know what? I'm gonna get her.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I know it's immature, and it was a challenge. And I tell you, man, I met her take trains, buses, and everything else because I wanted to prove my point, you know. Because it was.
So you made her come out of her car and jump on the public transit?
That's right.
To let her know?
To come see you.
Right, to come see me.
Wow.
And the thing is, because I was born in Staten Island and I was in New York, and most people in New York don't drive. Okay.
Right.
And what happened? And when I would date, I would go to, because I like to go to New York for plays and dinner and that kind of thing. So we had to do that. And then also because I never drove, I've always been an avid walker.
So most people can't keep up with you when it comes to walking. They're going to be winded by the time you get to your destination.
Wait. Or I'll catch you coming around.
I'll catch you coming around.
And you're 70. Wow.
Yeah, I'm 70. Yeah, I'm 70.
Wow.
But I still what I call power walking.
Well, I know they say people of color doesn't crack. They talk about how we hold our beauty in our skin. You don't look a bit over 55.
But also another thing, and this is what I want people to understand, you know, because this is I'm writing a book about this, and the title of the book is Fighting Peace. Okay, PEACE.
Peace.
And the thing with me is that I think one of the things I've been able to age well is because I've always had a philosophy. I've always looked at what I want to do. Because when I was 50, I said I want to be fabulous at 50.
Okay.
When I turned 60, I want to be sexy at 60. Okay. And then in my 70s, I'm looking for peace. I'm finding peace.
Okay.
And peace stands for passion.
Wow.
Man, you got to have something. I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning.
Wow.
Okay, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm usually at my writing desk or I'm listening to podcasts, whatever. But I can't sleep because I sleep well. I go to bed between 10 and 11. I'm up at 5. But my passion is still reading, it's still writing, and I still want to do that. You know. So passion, the first P. E is for excellence. Excellence. I don't want anything mediocre.
Okay.
I don't want anything third rate. I want something that's the best, you know, because when I come out to present myself as an excellence, A is for attitude. And what I mean by that, you know, attitude. You can't always determine what's going to happen to you.
Right.
But your attitude, like if I went to the doctor, he said, Professor Benjamin, you have terminal cancer. And I would just say, my attitude would be like, well, how long do you think I have?
Wow.
Because as long as I'm alive, I can do what I want to do. So that's attitude. C is creativity. I'm always creating something new. I've created some things that people will probably never see. One of the things I created, which I call found poetry, and I'm writing a book about, because as I study all these different music artists,
okay,
I look at the titles of their songs, and I've been able to put together poems from these songs.
Wow.
You know, and I call it found poetry.
And that found poetry is from a variety of artists that have common word usage and or themes to their music.
Well, not only that, but the different titles. You know, like Luther Vandross says.
Give us an example.
Like a house is not a home.
Okay.
You know, and then I might put that with a house is not a home. One of the songs is forever, for always, for love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I might say having a party. So this is the Al Green, love and happiness.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's get married today. You know, that kind of thing. They'll put those things together. You know. And then the last thing is expectation.
Wow.
I look forward to. I mean, I always have something I'm looking forward to. Like I tell you, you told me when this was going to be. I've been looking forward to this. For weeks. I've been planning and whatnot. I look forward to expectations. You know.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, I have other books I'm working on. Expectation. Well, I'm looking forward to this weekend. You know, every other weekend I'm at my son's house. I'm working with his kids who are in school. We're doing a virtual school and whatnot. So I have something to look forward to. You know.
So these are all the things that get you up
Oh,
at
yes,
5
yes,
o'clock
yes.
in the morning,
Five o'clock in
each
the morning.
every day.
And-
At 70 years old.
And for those individuals that don't have a pen, grab a pen because he's going to go over them again. He's not going to give you the breakdown. You're going to have to rewind the tape to see that. But I want you to listen to this again. So just give us those.
So again,
Yeah.
peace, P-E-A-C-E, passion, excellence, attitude, creativity, and expectation.
Wow, that's awesome.
You know, in my life, because I run a business and I have individuals that work for me, and then I work for others, and in return,
Of course.
the fruits of their labor allows me to have fruits from their labor
Yes.
and also feed back into my business. And when you talk about the last E, you know, you have expectations, you know, and you talk about excellence, you know, in business, the things that separate the good companies from the companies that are mediocre or from the companies that don't last has a lot to do with excellence and their expectations.
Exactly.
I want my customers, when I leave their property, to feel that their their expectation has been met and if not exceeded, because that is what's going to get me to have continual business. And if I have continual business, then I will grow. I got people now contacting me on Facebook. I got people contacting me through my lead generators. I got people contacting me because of word of mouth. And that's because when I get on the job, I set a certain expectation. I expect my guys to do a certain deliverable skill set.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and it's not easy.
No, but it's not easy because most people are lazy.
No, don't tell me that.
No,
Come on.
listen to me.
Lazy?
Lazy. And the thing is that one of the things about getting older,
Yes.
so you can't sit too long because you rot.
That's very
so
true.
you got
That's
to
very
move,
true.
and that's why there's some seniors who don't move that well because they decayed and they rot.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you always have to keep your mind alive because one of the things that I'm working on is a book called The ABCs of Success.
Okay.
Okay? And the way
Can't
I break
wait
it
to
down,
read that
oh
one.
man, please. And what I did is like, I define the
Yes.
letter and then I give a little quote and a little commentary. But just for give an example, because when I say ABC for success, ABC, A is for awareness, and this comes really in business awareness. Okay, what needs to be done? What needs to be done out there that you can do? Okay, awareness. Okay, the second thing is belief. You have to have a strong belief in yourself that you can do the job.
Wow.
Okay, and then C is commitment. Okay, if you're not committed to what you're doing, it's not. Like I said, the first sign of trouble, the first time that someone said, "No, Brian, I like the way you did my lawn, but you know what? You didn't do it the way I expected." But I'm the type of person. I know you're the type of person that you're going to do the lawn so good that they can't say anything. All they can say is that when are you coming back?
Right.
You know. And the thing is that people want value because one of the things that I did before this pandemic, I would go to different venues and I would put on the table. I would put 100 books from my personal library, 100 books, and people would come to my table, and they would say, "Wow, you have hardcover books, you have paperback books, you have new books, you have old books," and they would ask me, "You sell these books, right?" I said, "Yeah, I sell the books." They said, "How much are these books?" I said, "Any book, whether it be hardcover, paperback, whatever, any book on this table is $1.
Wow.
$1."
Awesome.
And sometimes I would travel around with my son and say, "Dad, you're not going to make any money." I said, "Watch this. Okay, watch this. This book, okay, this."
Wait, hold on. This is a lesson for you out there.
Yeah.
This is a lesson for you out in podcasting.
Let's say, for example, this is a book here. This is by DMX. Okay, now if I had that book on the table, now everybody want to buy that book.
Okay.
So again, it's $1. But that book, but I'm looking something. It says $30 in the book.
Wow.
So look. Okay, so what would happen, and especially a lot, more women than men read. Okay,
Right.
Women read more than men. Men read, but men usually read like nonfiction. Women read fiction, a lot of romance stuff.
everything.
But what happened? So a woman would come up to my table, and she said, "Well, look, you said $1, right? Yeah. So okay, I want these 5 books. Okay, that's $5.
Okay.
But she would say, you know what? I'm gonna give you
They
another
would give you
5.
more.
Yeah. So now she gave me $10. You know, a guy would come up there. He said, "I want this book, this with that, but how much is it?" Well, that's $10. Okay. Well, let me give you another 10. So what happened was that because when I left that there, I didn't sell all my books. I sold maybe about 50 books, but I came out of there with $150.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I realized that when you make something attainable for people, they go over and beyond, because you know, sometimes we don't realize it. You know, it's actually psychology.
It is psychology.
You know, because when you tell somebody 40, 50, you know, the first thing is say, "Oh, that's too much." You know, but if you bring it down to a price where they can afford, lots of times they'll buy more because they can afford.
Right, because they see value.
Right.
They see value. Because I remember when I was involved in education, I would be in a room with white guys who made a lot more money than I made one day. Even the president of the college one day was in this meeting, and I was in a Armani suit. And he said that, "I know how much you make, you know, so how could you afford it?" I said, "Well, let me tell you something. My wife, you know, at that time, she would go to Daffy Dan's. And she would go there on a Monday, and she would look and see what's on sale and whatnot. Then she said, "I want you to go to Daffy Dan's on Friday. I'll put some things aside for you on layaway. So you go in there, whatever you like, you know." So I would come out with Armani suits.
Get out of here.
For about $25.
Get out of
here. And the thing is, people don't know how much it costs, but see, people know value.
Right.
So if I'm offering you a $30 book for $1, I mean, you figure, well, let me get out of here before he realizes that I'm
asking more. Oh, that's it? Okay, you know.
Yeah.
But
and they still think they're getting over it.
Right.
Lady Shareen and I talked about this. You know, we're doing this podcast, and we're going to have our Cash App up real soon.
Yes, sir.
Because real soon?
It's up. It's up.
What is our Cash App?
That's even better.
Capital T, the rest is lowercase, the 4E podcast.
Say it one more time.
Capital
That's
T,
great.
the rest is lowercase, the 4E podcast.
Capital
T,
lowercase
lowercase h, lowercase e, 4E podcast.
Did you get that, Lady Shareen?
I did not. I'm actually looking at see if anybody's on. I don't know if Tanya's still on, but hi Tanya.
Hi Tanya.
Shout out.
Holla. Yeah. All right. So we're going to have our Cash App up because we need to generate money. We're giving you guys a lot of stuff. We're giving you a lot of information, and sometimes it's going to be like information overload. But the reason we're bringing this information to you is because we have core values. Everyone that's going to come in here has certain core values that we gravitate to. Retired Professor Terry Benjamin, I've known him for over 20 plus years. Shareen has known him for over 15 or 10 years, whatever it is. But the bottom line is that he's giving you some fruits that if you just grab a little bit of what he has said to you today, it's going to make you a better person.
And see, the thing is, because, you know, one of the things that I found about success in business is longevity. Because you look at the companies that have been around for a long, long time. It's because they've been consistent and they've offered value.
Yes.
You know, and people appreciate value.
Yes, they do. Absolutely. And then, you know, not only that, you know, it's also value plus how you treat people.
Exactly.
As well.
Exactly.
You know, if you treat people right, you know, they don't mind to, you know, help you and know that you have a good product.
Yeah, and I think people want to help you because I think it's just in our DNA to help others. You know, it's very few people who are going to try to take advantage of you, especially if you come out of a sincere heart. I didn't go into education to make a whole lot of money. I don't think there's no job that I had that I went in for the money. I went in because it's something I enjoy doing. We did a rap music program because I saw a value in rap that other people didn't see.
Wow.
You know, and I saw, you know, how big it could be, but a lot of people didn't see it. And then a lot of people just catching up with me. And the thing now is because I'm in my 70s, man, you would think I would want to slow down. No, I can't. I can't afford to slow down. You know?
Wow. Now, how many books, because you mentioned that you're writing, I think while you were talking, it was at least 3. So how many books are you currently writing now?
Okay, well, at this particular, I'm writing about 5 books.
Wow.
5 books.
All at once.
All at once.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Well, because and the thing is, and I'm not a multitasker. Okay, so what would happen? Maybe Monday I'll work on the rap music and literature book,
Okay.
and then on Tuesday I'll work on the found poetry book.
Okay.
You know, then I have a book that's an anthology of different short stories.
Wow,
I might work on that. You know,
Okay.
and so again for me, but it keeps me alive. It keeps me going.
Okay.
You know, and then also I work with a group out of North Carolina,
Oh,
a
okay.
publishing company, and I really for them I edited so far I edited 7 books.
Awesome.
Now you won't know that I did it unless you look inside the book. You can see my name as editor.
Right.
But for most people,
Right.
they're not going to look at that. They're going
Right.
to read the book and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And that's why I find value in behind the scenes.
Yes.
Like as a director,
Yes.
I mean, there may be a point where they don't know who directed that movie.
Right.
Unless
Absolutely.
you're Spike Lee,
Right.
or unless you're Ava DuVernay,
Right.
or that kind of thing,
Right,
or you're
absolutely.
Ryan
Yes.
Coogler and whatnot.
Mhm.
Now they know them.
Yes.
But for the average movie goer,
Right.
they
That's
watch
true.
a film, they won't know who the director
That's
is.
true.
They won't know who the screenwriter is. And again, they won't even care.
Right. Right. And
all they want to do is they want a good show.
Right. No, it's true because with me working on sets and
Yes,
working
yeah.
with NBC and stuff like that, and it's like a lot of people look at just the people that are in front of the camera,
Exactly.
but when you meet the ones behind the scenes,
Yes.
those are the executives, those are the producers,
That's
they
right.
are your directors, and then you have like your assistant directors,
Exactly.
and again, like you said before, if you don't look at the long list of credits,
Yeah.
you really don't know exactly who's doing what. But when you actually meet these people,
Yes,
it's a whole different ball game because they bring
Mhm.
their spice, they bring their creativity, but behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why for myself, creativity really knows no ego.
Right.
Because I've written many books, but I tell you, most of the books that I've written those books over 10, 20, 30 times. And I'm talking
Wow.
about page by page,
Right.
line by line, sentence by sentence. When I was working with you in your book,
Yes.
I said, let's do the book, let's edit the book, but also let's design the book.
Yes.
So an interior design book, and I told you, I want you to do a sequel to that book.
Yes. you
Because
did.
I wanted to do the book again, but this time I want to have questions and answers at
Yes.
the end of the chapters. Okay,
Yes.
I can see you doing a film based on that book.
Wow.
See, the thing is
Absolutely.
that most people understand that one idea could be 5 or 6 or 10 ideas.
Mhm.
See, we stop too soon.
Yes, true. That's very, very true.
Well,
And it works out well because I am a filmmaker.
Yes.
So,
yes, yes.
that
So that's
passion
natural.
can go right into that.
And one of the things I like about you and also about Brian is the fact that you both are visionaries. What I mean is that most people, they can't really bond to something unless they can see it. But
Right.
with a visionary,
Right.
you see it before it's done.
That's true.
When I'm writing a book, it's almost anticlimactic. And what I do a lot of times when I was especially writing a lot of my own books, I would tell we had an art department, I said, give me the cover of the book now.
Okay.
He said, but you haven't written the book now. I said, no, but I want the cover.
Right.
Because as I'm writing the book, I see it.
Okay.
And so for me, it's almost anticlimactic, and that's why a lot of books I've written, I forgot that I've written them because
Wow.
I've done that so many times ago. People sometimes they would do like a screenshot of some books that I've written about 20, 30 years ago. I said, okay, yeah, I remember that. And the thing is about creativity, especially. I mean, there's some great books that I wrote. I can't write those books again.
Okay.
wow.
Because I'm not in that headspace.
Okay.
Because sometimes I'll look at a book that I've written and I said, well, where was your head when you wrote this? I mean,
wow.
what were you thinking?
You were probably 38. You were probably 38 years of age at that.
I'm
So a lot of wisdom came since about that first one.
And I can't do that now.
Oh, wow.
But that's the
That's
thing.
different.
But that's why it's not about ego.
Right.
Because I could care less if people knew what I did. I think so with me, I'm the type of person, I go walk into a room and people be drawn to me, not because they know what I do, but
Right.
because I know I have a certain charisma and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And also I believe in miracles.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, you are a pusher too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
He will definitely put if you tell him what you want to do, he'll say, listen, let's do it.
But,
he'll tell
don't,
them.
don't tell me, because I had students in my class. Yeah.
No way.
He said, Professor Benjamin, he said, because I try to get to know my students,
Right,
okay,
right.
yeah. And they said, well, I sing. Okay, you sing. I dance. Okay, let's sing something. You sing, right?
Yep.
So sing something.
Yeah, he will
You
definitely.
dance. Well, dance.
Yes.
Because I'm taking it to work.
Yeah.
If I tell you I'm a writer, I got works to prove
Yes.
it.
Yes.
If you're a singer, sing a song.
Yes. Yes, but I love that about you, though, because you will definitely push.
Yes,
Because
because I believe you.
Yes.
I believe you.
Yes. He will definitely do that, and I love that. Because sometimes people need that. They need the encouragement. They need
Well, that's
the push.
validation, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. So he's
I
definitely
validate
pushing.
you. I validate you.
Yeah. Listen, many years ago when I started my landscaping business, I worked for a company, and the company said to me, "Are you thinking that you're going to simultaneously run your company while you work for us?" I said, "Well, I don't know if it's written anywhere where I can't do what I want to do on my free time. If I'm a college student."
That's right.
And I go to college,
Okay.
and I go to the classes, and I take part in the studies, and then I do what is asked of me.
Yes, yes.
That's my part.
That's right.
After I finish that assignment,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm working on another assignment, because one thing that was so hard in college, and I got to take it back a little
What
bit.
was hard, Brian? What was hard?
Man,
Follow the
it's that, first and foremost, when you get into college, and I tell this to anybody that's getting ready to go to college, you think that you know it all, because in high school you took economics, or you took algebra, or you took trigonometry or geometry,
Yeah, it's a
and then you
whole
get
nother
into
level.
college and you said, man, and the professor said, don't worry about it. You be like, oh, I know all this stuff the first week. Oh man, I know all this stuff the second week. The second and a half, the third week, you already passed everything in college. In your first 2.5 to 3 weeks, you already surpassed that in college. And then here you go. It's not like you're off the hook now, because now you got geometry, right? So you're taking that. But now your geometry teacher says we're going to have a test that you have to prepare for next Wednesday, and it's Tuesday, right? So you say, "Oh man, I'm going to be ready for that." So this is the hard part. This is the hard part for you individuals getting ready to go to college. Then your economics teacher tell you got an assignment. You have to work with 3 individuals, and this project is going to have to be done at the end of the semester. But you got to show me some reports in the 3rd week, and then the 6th week, and then the 8th week, and then it's the end of the semester. You got to show your process. And now that's not it, because now your English teacher, Professor Terry Benjamin, says that you got to write an assignment. You got to read this chapter, and then you got to interpret it, and then you're going to have to. Now this is the hard part. This is not the easy part. You don't have to write about it and bring the report in. I'm going to give you an hour and a half in the classroom, and you're going to have to write about that. And you're going to have to make sure your grammar is right, your text is right, and then that your content is right, and make sure that what you say you see, that the professor can understand your interpretation. Now that's it, right? No, because you're carrying a 5-course load. So that was only 3.
Or
6 courses. So that was only 3 classes. Now your finance professor says you have to take this and you have to understand quantitative methods or whatever it is, So now you got to do that work, and you got to test on Monday. Now don't forget, you got to test on Tuesday. Now you got to test on Monday. Now you got to give a report. Now on top of that, you got at college. You're at college. So man, I don't have to pay attention to my parents. I have freedom.
I'm free.
They're giving a party on Friday. I'm going to that party on Friday. Then on top of that, you still have one more course. You said 6. I only took 6 courses one time, and one of them was like a 1.5 credit.
Oh wow.
It was an elective. But to take 6 courses,
It's hard.
take 5 courses is hard.
Never,
Take 4. When I first went to Rutgers, and we're going over with time, but that's all right. We're having such a good time. We're just going to keep running. When I first went to college,
Time flew away.
they said, look to your right and look to your left. 3 people to your right and 3 people to your left ain't going to be here 4 years from now when it comes to graduate. Well, I took a little longer than 4 years to graduate because Lady Shareen, as we shared, life experiences, things came up. You had to work, you had to take a break from college, whatever. So those things came up. But the reality is that to get a college degree today, not only are you compounded with the amount of debt that you're going to inherit, unless you go and you got scholarships, athletic, academic, social, whatever.
And that's a whole nother level because now you got all this practice time with the work time that you just talked about.
And we still didn't fit in there the social hour.
That too.
Or 2
Or
hours.
if you have to work.
Or if you have to work.
So that's a lot.
Yeah, they call me
Mr.
Mr. Dining Hall, but they actually was a name where I don't need to tell you. But I was named Mr. Dining Hall because every time they came in there, I was working. But I had to pay my way through college.
Yeah.
So when I just wish I would have met him, Professor Terry Benjamin, early in life, because he would have helped me with my writing skills. Because I didn't have the best writing skills when I was going to undergraduate. And a lot of times you think, like I was getting back to the point that I was started, you think that when you get into college, because you took an economics course, that you're going to be able to breeze through this stuff. Like I said, the second 2.5 weeks into 3 weeks, everything that you learned in economics, supply curve, demand curve, price elasticity, that stuff is covered in like the first 2 chapters. And you still got 10 more chapters to go through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but see,
Professor?
Preach
on.
So this is the point, okay? I mean, there are people who play at life, and life is too precious. And I tell my students that this is one of the first lessons I teach them.
Word.
I said, look, I'm at my computer, okay?
All right.
And I'm, and sometimes as a writer, you hit your stride, and man, the thoughts are coming, man, it's popping and whatnot. You go, oh man, I'm at 10 pages, 20 pages, 30 pages, 40 pages, 50, I'm at 100 pages and whatnot. And then what happened? The screen went blank.
Right. It gets stuck.
No, the screen went blank.
I lost my
literally.
I lost all the work I did. But here's the lesson, okay? After I finished crying, I said, you know what?
That's a lot.
So what I did is that I just started typing the thing over again.
Oh no.
All 100 pages. But my saving grace and what helped me is that I tell my students,
wow,
writing is rewriting.
Yeah, that's what I was told too.
So I lost 100 pages, but I rewrote those 100 pages, and I like to think those pages will be better.
Wow.
I think so.
Yeah, but the point is, I mean, again, whatever you do, I told my mother I want to be writing. I don't play it. Okay, that's something I do every day, and I don't mind reading all the books. I don't mind doing all the interviews. I don't mind doing all the research. I mean, I love it. I'm writing a book called 100 Love Songs.
Wow.
And what happened is, what I did is I broke it down into fast songs and slow songs. There's 50 fast songs and 50 slow songs. And every song has love in the title.
Okay.
Wow.
And what happened, what I did, I'm crazy, okay?
You ain't crazy.
Listen, so each page of the book is, you have the song, you have the person who sang the song, when the song was produced, who wrote the song,
Wow.
Okay.
what album the song is from.
Wow.
A
lot of research.
The record company. Then I have like a
Oh,
snippet.
wow.
I have a snippet of the actual lyrics.
Okay.
Then I write a little commentary on the bottom.
Oh wow.
You know.
Okay.
And the thing is, because we're in 2021, most of my research was done on my phone.
Okay.
Okay, because I can Google
Yes, you can.
any song. I can find everything that I need to do.
Absolutely.
But now I did those 100 songs, okay? But now I'm working on volume 2. So now I gotta find another 100 songs with love in the title.
Wow.
And people,
That's amazing.
Yeah, right. But my whole thing is that I told my son, I said, this is what I want you to understand, and I say this all the time. Genius does not ask for permission.
Right.
I don't need your permission to write this
That's
book.
right.
I
Absolutely
don't
not.
need your permission, and if I never get the book published, that's okay too, because I've done it.
That's right.
You know?
But
It's accomplished.
It's accomplished.
Yeah.
But not
You
only
need that.
does genius not ask for permission, anything that you want in life.
That's right.
Icarus was the person that flew to this. He said, "I'm going to fly,"
To the sun, yeah.
and he said, "I'm going to fly to the sun."
Yes, yes.
He didn't know, and they put it in the rap record. I'm going to burn off your wings. That he was going to burn off his wings.
Right, yes, yes.
But here we go. What I was going to say to you is that a baby learns how to walk by taking his first step.
That's right. That's right.
When people think that life is so bad, you got to take a step. You got to be like a baby. You got to learn to take those little steps. You got to challenge yourself to be something more than whatever you have in order to get what you want. It's almost like you said, genius don't ask for permission, nor does achievement or excellence, nor does accomplishment. It doesn't ask for anything.
Because the baby, they might fall 50 times, you know, but you know what? They're going to get back up. I remember, I have twin grandchildren. I'll never forget.
Yeah.
They were in their little playpen. One day, and I was watching them. One day, it's a boy and a girl.
Okay.
One day, the boy decides, you know what? I'm getting out of this playpen, and I'm gonna start walking. And the thing is that he pushed the door open. He walks out there, and he sort of totters, but then he starts walking. His sister, on the other hand, she gets to the door. She closes the door and she sits back.
Watches him.
And he's like crawling on his face like that because that's something that you want to do. And of course she got the program.
Absolutely.
But there's no baby, including you and I and whatnot, who said, well, you know what? This walking thing is too tough. I don't think I'll ever walk. You told her that.
If I would listen to the naysayers, or if I was the baby, using the baby analogy, and never would have decided to be the one that pushed that door open,
right.
where would I be in life today?
That's true.
You know, I mean, I think sometimes, and this is positive. This isn't negative, because we only talk about positive things. Sometimes I wondered how many people were sitting there waiting for me to fall on my face and not accomplish the things that I had. I don't have anything that nobody else can't get or got. And there's a lot of people that got a lot more than what I got, and I don't blame them for getting that. Because everybody's got to walk their own path. But what I am going to say to you, and I think that came out through everything that you have said today, is that there is no limitations other than the limitations you place on yourself.
That's it. I always say, because a lot of time people look at, celebrities or ones that, have that name or has done different things. But my thing is, they are the same. They have gifts and talents just like everybody else. The only difference is they did something with it.
And another point that is crucial, because sometimes the parents tell the kids you can be anything that you want to be. Now, that's not true, okay?
Professor.
Can I be real?
Be real.
I am terrible at math, okay?
Okay.
I always have more money than I think I have because I can't count anymore. No, seriously. I mean, I was so terrible at math. I would avoid like play.
Wow.
I
hope you count the money.
We'll help you count the money when you hit that million. But Shareen and I'll be there. We'll be counting the ones, the 20s, the hundreds.
But my point is, I keep it tight. I don't go do like a lot of things. But my point is that if someone say, you know what, I tell them, I want to be a great mathematician. It ain't going to happen. But I can be a great writer because that's what I want. I don't want to be a mathematician.
Right.
I don't care about it. I'll get somebody else to count my money.
Okay.
When
I told you.
But for a writer, I will do anything to be the best writer. Because I truly believe I've written a lot of books, but I haven't written my masterpiece yet.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that. But that's what I want. But that's what I want.
Yes.
But I can tell you that I am encouraged by, first and foremost, having you on our podcast. I am encouraged that you have also connected me with your son, who also said that he's going to come on our podcast, and that's probably going to be one of our first podcasts that we actually do outside of the studio, where we're going to actually go to him. But I'm also encouraged because nothing that you have said has ever given me any indication that you have let somebody else tell you what you can and cannot do. As a matter of fact, I think when they told you couldn't do it, you just said, I'm going up to Essex County College tomorrow, and I'm going to see if I can get me a professor's job. You didn't sit there. No. He has a degree. He doesn't have a master's.
Master's.
And everybody that that you would have talked to in your camp would have said, "Are you thinking? You really think you're going to be able to teach on a college level with no master's degree?"
And the thing is, with the college, with especially universities, you have to have at least a PhD.
Right.
Most of the time, they want you to have the doctorate.
Wow.
But the thing is, but one of the things that one of the students I was talking to, she says, because she saw what I was doing in the college and whatnot. She says, either you're very lucky or you're very good. I said, I'm very good.
And being very lucky.
and also, I'm also, I mean, a manifestation because I can see before it happens. Quick story, and I don't want to go into too much because we don't have enough time. But I was in a situation where I had to get an apartment in 30 days. Okay, 30 days.
Okay.
If I didn't get that apartment in 30 days, I would be homeless.
Okay.
I did all I had to do. I went to different places to look at different apartments and whatnot. The last apartment I looked at, I went to 6 apartments in one day. The last apartment I looked at, I walked into the building.
Wow.
The woman who had the apartment, she was moving out.
Okay.
I said, could I get this apartment? They said, well, this is how much it's going to cost, so and so and so. I said, look, all I want to know is from you is that how much money do I need to get this apartment?
Okay.
I didn't have the money, okay, but I said, what do I need?
Okay.
Make a long story short, I went to one of my most valued advisors and my right hand person, my mother.
Wow.
And I asked her, could you give me this so I can get that? He said, no problem, But the point is that apartment, and I was like looking at apartments and whatnot, I said, well, you know what? I can't afford this. Maybe I can afford this. Is my range between $1,200 and $1,400. Everything was outside my range.
Wow.
And then I asked, how much apartment? $1,200. I moved in that apartment on the 17th of that month.
Oh wow.
And they said, well, you know what?
Okay.
It was really the first, but again, I was able to do that.
Okay.
The perfect apartment.
Okay.
And then I said, well, you know what?
Awesome.
How could I move? I need to move my stuff. I need a truck. Shareen, do you know anybody who has a truck? Well, maybe Brian has a truck. Well, let me call Brian.
Right.
I called Brian, and the rest
Put me
is
on the
history.
spot.
And you know what? You know what's so funny though?
Put me on the spot.
But it shows the power of numbers.
You know what's so funny? It's so funny because Brian, he read. I gave him my book. He brought my book, right?
Yes.
And he must have saw your name.
Yes.
And he said, "Hey, you know Terry Benjamin?" And I said, "Yeah, I had him or whatever."
Yeah.
And so it's just funny how you guys got reconnected.
Yeah, the universe.
That's just
But
really amazing.
I do believe that, because one of the best books I've read was called The Law of Attraction by Ron Bird. And basically what it says is that, you attract circumstances, people to you that you need. And again, I just want to say this, I don't even know if this is going to be on the podcast, but I just want to say to Brian and Shareen, you're part of my tribe. Okay, you have been important to me. You will always be important to me. And when I say tribe, it's beyond family.
Right.
Because I think we always look for our tribe. Because I don't care about friends and whatnot. I got a lot of friends. I don't want friends. I want somebody.
Associates.
Absolutely.
And you're part of my tribe.
Well, thank you.
I tell you, man, we do
Now-
it down together.
Now, what about? I know you said you wanted to do the documentary before. Are you still going to do your documentary?
Yes, I am. And also, I want to do a podcast.
Okay.
And the podcast, again, it's going to be called Finding Peace.
Okay.
And I break it down to what I broke it down to. And then it's going to be subtitled Questions That Matter,
Okay.
Answers That Reveal. Because I believe that questions is really the key to education.
Yeah.
Because
That's how we learn. We ask questions.
We're problem solvers.
Yes.
I had a problem and I solved it.
Yes.
Because like I said, at that particular point, I was facing homeless. I don't want to be homeless.
I know that.
Please,
Yeah.
And so I had to put it together. But calling on my tribe.
Okay.
And my tribe came together.
Awesome.
And
Now, what would you say to any aspiring writer or professor?
Yeah.
Teacher, professor.
Love what you do and do what you love. That's
Okay.
it. That's it.
Passion.
Love what you do and do what you love.
Okay.
Because if you don't love it, if you don't love it, you're not going to do it well. Because I've seen people who gotten into filmmaking, and I've seen people actually done made a film on their phone.
Right.
They didn't have any studio.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have anything. They didn't have a screenwriter. They became screenwriter, director, editor, and everything else
Okay.
because you love what you do. You don't mind studying.
Right.
Now you'll study the YouTube videos
Okay.
because you want to know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And again, so I'm saying, man, do what you love and love what you do.
We're getting ready to end this podcast. Listen, for all those out there, we've actually been going through it, but you know, inside of film, inside of, you know, things can go wrong, so you see me step off camera, step back on the camera, but it's all good. We're going to continue to bring this high level content to you, and we appreciate you. I got the message that is called, for the Cash App, it's called the 4E Podcast. Capital T, the 4E Podcast. Please go out there. If you love what we're doing, bringing to you, you can send your love. Please like us. We're on Facebook right now. We are going to be coming to you in a whole lot of different venues, different medias. It's coming. We want to give much praise and much thanks to having Terry Benjamin, our second person coming on our podcast.
Yes.
Not only is he our second person on our podcast, he's also invited, and we had a very intellectual, stimulating conversation I had the other day with his son, who's going to come on. And in addition to that, I need to say that this is our fifth podcast, Shareen. Lady Shareen.
Yes,
5 podcasts in. And we did one other special that was a little episode, so it's really like our 6. And if you really want to be technical, it's really like our 7, because we had one podcast that we didn't even bring forward because we had the shadows behind it that was dancing.
And you know what? Facebook probably see the shadows, but the other cameras don't.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different thing. But also just to piggyback, you know, like he said, this is our second person. You know, please don't feel slighted. Please don't feel like, oh, they ain't getting me on there. Trust me, it's coming. You know, we're going to get around. You know, right now we're doing business, education. You know, so sometimes we do some things, you know, and we just have, you know, people in mind. You know, sometimes God may put people on our hearts to, you know, come at a certain time. But please don't feel slighted. Please don't, you know, feel like, oh, they're not getting me or whatever. So please don't, you know, and again, you know, if you guys want to come on, let us know as well. And
how can they do that? How can they let us know?
You can inbox me on Facebook. You can send me an email at Shareen, MCLK @gmail.com. Or you can send me a message on Instagram. I'm under Shareen Malika Photography, or Shareen, I believe it's CLK, short for Clark. So you can hit me at all those places.
And in addition to that, you can also hit me up on bclandscaping12@gmail.com. So if you need a landscaper, you better call me. If you need a photographer, you better call her. If you have somebody in your family that has passed away, because we're going through that. We're still in the pandemic. Don't doubt it. We're taking precautions. We talk to all of our guests that are coming on. We also can videotape so that people that are far away can actually see us. And you can hit up Lady Shareen on those 3 things that she gave you. You can also go to our website, which is?
It is bcproductionsEEE.com.
And you can find all of our content up there. And if you like what you hear, like us on Facebook, pass it on, share.
Give us those hearts.
Yeah.
And also comment, like, let us know, you know.
Yeah.
Tell us the truth.
Yeah, if you like it. If you don't like it, say what you think we could do to improve it. But we would be amiss if we did not just give a round of applause from the studio, those in the studio, retired Professor Terry Benjamin, for coming in and showing us his love. He is going to come back because we have not even, it's not even the tip of the iceberg that we have scratched in reference to what this brother has to offer to the community, to the world, and to you out there in podcast land. So let's give him a round of applause for coming out. We appreciate him. And with my videographer controller in the back, he's going to fade to black.
Oh man, where did the time go?